Thanks for joining us once again. We're getting an enormous amount of reaction to our question, should the death penalty be mandatory for anyone who kills a police officer? Here's some of the reaction that we want to share with you right now. Chris writes, the death penalty is overly expensive and it makes us only one of a few of Western nations still to employ it. Since we have the worst incarceration rate in the world, maybe we want to take cues from the others, most of whom do not employ the death penalty. But when we asked that very same question to Frances, she wrote, an eye for an eye. These thugs have better weapons than the cops. They set out to rob a bank and they killed a police officer. That used to mean something. I believe they all deserve to die. We want to know what you have to say, so you can email me at lynn@lynndoyle.net. Let's get some further reaction here. Just like here on the panel, we have people from both sides of this issue feeling very passionate about their position.
From our Carla's position, and we talk about executions and so forth, as if the United States is, a killer, and we execute numerous people. We're so far down the line when it comes to executions that you wouldn't believe it. China would be #1 with executions per year of over 1,700, 1,715 to be exact. Next after them would be Iran.
I don't want to be following the Chinese.
No. Well, then we got Iran, 300. But we go, the U.S. is way down the line with 37, if you can believe that.
Yeah, well, even when we apply it.
As executions, we are way down the line. But I don't want to get away from the thing with cop killers. If a jury proves beyond a reasonable doubt, as counsel has indicated, that this person killed a police officer, that's where we go. But we're talking about other cases when we bring in DNA, like rape cases, all these things. When a cop killer shoots a cop, he's got a gun, people are pointing at him, there's no DNA necessary. So that's an entirely different ballgame.
That's actually not true. In many cop killing cases, the killing is done at a time when there aren't a lot of witnesses, at a time when a crime is clandestinely being carried out, and when the officer is alone or with almost nobody else around him.
Name one recently. Name just one recently.
The police officer Skursky was killed in a bar with virtually nobody around.
Virtually nobody around. Name one where there's nobody around. Virtually isn't nobody.
Dr. Williams brought up the.
The real point is that the government, when they prosecute somebody for a homicide of a cop or anybody else, relies on all kinds of scientific evidence. They rely on scientific evidence for gunpowder residue, fingerprints, DNA if it's left. But the problem is, it's eyewitness testimony, which is often wrong.
Okay.
And it's often eyewitness testimony, which is what convicts people. And eyewitness testimony, particularly across racial lines, is very inaccurate, not trustworthy, and should not be relied upon when making a decision whether to kill somebody.
Mistaken eyewitness identification is, in fact, the #1 reason why innocent people end up in prison. There's 200+ exoneration cases by DNA. 2/3 of those cases have involved mistaken eyewitness identification. Now, the caller brought up appeals. I do want to mention a lot of folks don't understand that in a capital case, a defendant or an inmate actually has more appeals options than they do in a regular case. And the reason is because a capital trial is essentially 2 trials. There's the guilt and innocence phase, and then there's also the penalty phase. The inmate can appeal both of those, and that's why these cases carry on and on, especially
years and years and years. But what do you believe should happen? I mean, you like having police killers get out. Not only
I never heard Michael say that.
No.
Oh yeah, I sat across from him when he has said that, and you said that they could. When Trentino, you thought he should get out, and maybe he would cure some disease because you found one case years ago. So you don't think that there's any special treatment for cop killers at all?
I'd like to go to the video to see what I've said in the past.
Oh, I have the video.
But let me tell you.
Not much time.
People should not be executed by the government no matter what their crime is. The government should not be in the business of killing people because the government makes a lot of mistakes and the government kills innocent people. It's not a deterrent. It costs us way too much money. And I'm very comfortable with life sentences without the possibility of parole.
As a citizen of the United States, you're comfortable walking the streets knowing that if a cop killer is put behind bars, that he'll stay or she'll stay there forever?
Absolutely. That's the law in Pennsylvania.
That goes against the grain of our judicial system. If you're in jail, unless we have a specific law saying that there's absolutely no possibility of you getting out of jail, then it's a failure. We have to have that. We can't use the judicial system that we have today, because you can get out, and if murderers get out of jail, statistics prove that they will kill again.
Okay, on that note, that is going to have to be our final word. Dr. Williams, thank you very much for being with us again, and Pat Tedesco, always a pleasure to have your perspective. Michael Vanderveen, a longtime friend of the show, thank you very much for being here, as well as Andy Hoover, who's from the ACLU. All right, on that note, if you were unable to get through, we would still like to hear from you. You can email me at any time at lynn@lynndoyle.net. Until the next time, my thanks to my crew and to you for watching. I'm Lynn Doyle. Thank you.
I do have that.